Well, to celebrate Mother Language Week, I'm joined now by three passionate language teachers and they are all associated with community language schools. I don't know if you know much about these or maybe you have a child who goes to one. I have with me Enya Gannon, Karina Hunt and Tidirat Tongbang. Thank you all for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Who should I start with? Maybe I'll start with you, Enya, should I? Because tell us about these community language schools and why they're so important. You're with the Department of Education.
That's right. I'm the education officer with the community...
Sorry, I beg your pardon. There we go. I've got the wrong microphone for you, Enya. There we go. Yep.
That's right. I'm the education officer with the Community Languages Schools program, which is a department-funded program. So we support communities who want to teach their heritage language and culture to school-aged children in New South Wales. Yeah. So currently we have about 500 schools teaching over 62 languages.
Yeah, wow. And I remember it was compulsory when I went to school to learn a language. I don't even know what the situation is now. I know my children, it's compulsory for them to do a language in high school for a short period of time. But what's the situation?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's only compulsory to learn a language at high school in year 7. So there's a 100-hour compulsory and then it's an elective. So there's a real need for languages education in Australia and community language schools are filling that gap because, as I said, I think there's about 26 languages available in schools, but community language schools offer language lessons outside of school hours to much broader communities. Like, you know, we have languages such as Dinka and
where's
Burmese.
Dinka spoken?
In Sudan, in Africa. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a small community language school teaching that. Yoruba from Nigeria. We have Karen from Burma. And Thai. All these languages that you don't learn in school, you can learn at a community language school.
And I'm sure you want this to be offered as broadly and widely as possible and for lots of people to get involved, but do you find it's largely people who come from families that have that cultural background?
Absolutely, yeah. The idea is that the people who are running these schools have a connection with the community that speaks that background. So they are open to students who aren't from that background, but predominantly I think it's like 80% of students must be from that background. Yeah, okay. So yeah, and absolutely I'm hoping to promote it because you know, like a lot of community language schools, they change with the demographics as well. So, like, for example, we used to have 4 Macedonian schools when I started in this role 7 years ago in the Illawarra. Now we have 1. Oh. So they're kind of closing as kids grow up and they sort of leave and also they move away or there's less interest in that language. You know, the generations miss learning the language, so the children don't learn it.
It becomes the grandchildren of the most recent migrants, I suppose, as opposed to the children. And so they drift further and further from the language of their families and their forebears.
So what we're finding is a lot of adults now want to learn the language. Like the program I work with only funds school-aged children, but a lot of community language schools are offering classes to adults now because they're realising that, oh, hang on a minute, I'm Aussie, but, you know, actually I have this heritage background that speaks this other language, has this other culture, and to be able to access that, you really need to speak the languages. I always say there's no multiculturalism without multilingualism. And so there's a real need now actually and push for adults to learn different community languages that they missed out on when they were kids. But it's better to get them when they're young. So, you know, if people have kids from their background that want to learn a language, you can have a look at our website, communitylanguages.org.au, and we have a variety of schools in the Illawarra. A lot of our members are actually in Sydney as well, but you know, I'm here as well to support communities who want to start a community language school and perhaps apply for funding through the Department of Education.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's an invitation as well to anyone who's listening who would like to set up a school. Like recently, we had a Tamil school, for example, starting, and a Nepalese school as well. They're sort of newer emerging communities that are starting schools,
and a Nepalese community growing at a rate of knots too.
Exactly, yeah.
Tidirat, tell me about your experience. So you are a Thai speaker, of course. Yeah. So tell us about how you came to be involved in teaching Thai.
Well, I have I have connection with the group of local Thai community here, and at the beginning when I have the young children, there's a need of we see the need of learning language and learn about the culture. And also at that time, which is about 20 years ago, I also be the connection between the Thai consulate and the new Thai migrant who moved to Australia. So we start setting up the school in Wollongong like 13 years ago. And at that time, we based the school as a sister school from the school in Sydney. The language school, from my experience, is not only the school, it's also the community center.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the place that,
it becomes a real hub, does it, for the community?
Correct. It's also like when the children go into the class to learn, of the parents always waiting outside, and it's a place that people, like for example, a lot of culture, they bring the food, they eat, they meet with the new migrant, they meet with new people. Also, the school also is media between local community, because a lot of many Thai school also do the activities or involved with the local community. For example, the Thai community language school here involved with a lot of local events, like Harmony Days, Viva Lagong, cultural mix that just happened recently. And for me, as the leader and principal of the school, I found out that is very different from managing other organization, because a lot of people, I mean other school too, we are all volunteer. So volunteer, majority also have full-time job, have young children, and to manage the school is quite challenging.
Yeah, but I bet it's something that people feel really deeply connected to and feel it's important for them. As you said, it becomes like a hub, and I'm sure it becomes a place where particularly newly arrived migrants, the difference between being able to speak in the language that you think and dream in as opposed to the language you've learned later in life, it's a completely different experience, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And there is a lot of research and also the evidence-based, like, from different schools too, that the children who attend the community language school, they build a relationship and build a connection and have strong connection and friendship with their friends who speak the same language. And this connection built into when they go to the adulthood. And then the language that they learn and the culture that they learn is also benefit them when they grow up or grow into career, and help in many ways, like, traveling, getting more career. We found some challenging when the children go to high school, when they reach like year 11, year 12.
Oh, they want to... exactly. Yes. Why didn't you make me practice more and study more? Oh, yeah, I know. I hear that from my kids in relation to music. But yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? And how important it is to maintain those connections, and what a wonderful gift it is to be able to speak another language as well. I mean, Karina, what's your situation?
Well, I'm half Indonesian, half Australian, so I'm at the Indonesian language school around in Wollongong. I'm technically not a student, I'm more like a graduate. I'm not in high school anymore, I'm a university student now. But I still attend the classes and everything, and it's really been a great thing for me to be able to speak Indonesian. I only started learning when I was about 13. I'm now 20 this year. And I was never able to communicate with my family in Indonesia. I could not understand anything. My grandparents and my uncles and my aunties.
Is it your mum or your dad who's Indonesian?
My mum's side.
Okay. And so what did it give you once you finally went when you were age 13? What did it give you? How did your world open up?
Well, as a child, my mum didn't teach me Indonesian when I was young, so that finally gave me an avenue to begin learning and beginning able to communicate with her and understanding what she says. She speaks English, but it's just nice to be able to communicate with her in her original language. It's easier for her as well. And it really opened up that sense of community as well. I didn't know, as far as I knew, I was the only Indonesian student in my schools, in like any groups that I was in, any music classes. I think I checked the census data, there's only 200 Indonesians in Wollongong entirely. And that really opened up a sense of community for me. And now I've got this great family relationship with the children, with the teachers. And and such a strong connection. And also you gain that ability to communicate further with the rest of the world, with family if you're a heritage student. But even if you're not, you can really explore everything around you even more if you've got multiple languages.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering if do your Indonesian family, do they comment on how your Indonesian sounds? You sound like a pretty smart person, so I feel like your accent would be good, your grammar would be perfect. I mean, do they say anything about how your Bahasa sounds to them?
Oh, absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
Because the one downside is we do tend to learn more formal Indonesian at the class. So I freak my family out a bit because I speak so formally.
And they must be thinking, what's wrong with her? She speaks so serious.
Why are you? They're like always like, why are you using that word? Why are you using this specific word? That's so formal. And I'm like, it is. I didn't know that. And they laugh. They like think it's really cute when I'm trying. When I was much younger, I'd say like a sentence like, sorry, I can't speak much Indonesian, and they'd like laugh and giggle and be like, oh, that's so cute. And I'd be like, I'm trying so hard.
Yeah. Well, look, I think what we've firmly established here this morning is that learning another language is a wonderful thing, whether you are, you said a heritage student, so someone who has that particular culture as your heritage, someone who's a newly arrived migrant, maybe someone who doesn't even have a connection. You can still get involved, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I thank you so much for coming in, all three of you. I think learning languages is a wonderful thing. I really wish I'd stuck with mine because it's gone from my head now. And I am very jealous of people who are multilingual. Thank you so much for coming in.
Never too late.
Never. Oh gosh, I need some more time, Enya. That's the problem. But that's Enya Gannon from the Association of Community Language Schools. We've got Karina Hunt as well, Language School Ambassador, and Tiraret Tong Bang, who teaches Thai. Thank you so much, all three of you. How wonderful is that? I've got a few of you with thoughts on the text that I'll get to in just a moment, but maybe we'll have a bit of a tune, shall we,